The village of Eldermist was a quiet, unassuming place nestled deep within the forest, far from the bustling cities and their intrigue. Here, life was simple, and so was the young man known as Kale. Barely 16, Kale spent his days helping his parents on their small farm, mending fences and chasing chickens. His dreams of adventure were nothing more than idle fancies whispered to the stars. Kale had always been different. Small, unexplainable things happened around him. A fire that wouldn't light suddenly sprang to life at his touch. A cracked pot, left overnight in the shed, was mysteriously whole by morning. His parents had dismissed these oddities as coincidences, but Kale couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to him. One fateful night, the peaceful rhythm of his life shattered. A raiding party, merciless and swift, descended upon Eldermist. Kale awoke to the sound of screams and the acrid scent of smoke. Rushing out, he found his home ablaze and his parents fighting desperately against shadowy figures. His father's sword clashed with the invaders, but it was no use. His mother, trying to shield Kale, pushed him toward the woods. "Run, Kale. Run and don't look back," she cried. Kale hesitated, terror rooting him in place. Then he saw his father fall. With a sob, Kale obeyed his mother's command, sprinting into the dark forest as the village was consumed by flames. He ran until his legs gave out, collapsing in the underbrush, tears streaming down his face. 4 days, Kale wandered the forest, surviving on roots and berries, haunted by the loss of his family and the life he had known. The forest was vast and unforgiving, and Kale was not prepared. Hunger gnawed at him, and exhaustion made his every step a trial. On the 4th day, he stumbled upon a clearing where a group of goblins had made their camp. The goblins, vile creatures with jagged weapons and cruel smiles, spotted him immediately. Kale tried to flee, but they were faster, encircling him like predators cornering prey. Weak and unarmed, Kale raised his hands in a futile attempt to shield himself. "Please, no," he whispered, trembling. As the first goblin lunged, something deep within Kale stirred. A warmth, unlike anything he had felt before, erupted in his chest. His fear and despair transformed into raw, unbridled energy. With a cry, Kale thrust his hands forward, and a brilliant flash of light burst forth. The goblins screeched, blinded and scorched as the energy lashed out like tendrils of fire and lightning. When the light faded, Kale stood alone in the clearing, the goblins reduced to smoldering remains. Panting, Kale looked at his hands, which still crackled with faint sparks. The realization hit him like a thunderclap. He had done this. The energy, the fire, the power, it had come from him. Over the following weeks, Kale began to explore his newfound abilities. The forest became his training ground, and survival was his teacher. He discovered he could summon fire with a thought, move objects with a gesture, and heal small wounds with a mere touch. Yet, the more he used his powers, the more questions arose. Why had they awakened now? Had his parents known? One day, while foraging near an ancient oak, Kale stumbled upon a weathered leather satchel. Inside was a book bound in cracked black leather, its pages filled with strange symbols and diagrams. Though he couldn't understand most of it, the book seemed to hum with a familiar energy. The cover bore a single word in glowing, golden script: Ethereum. Kale knew this was no ordinary book. It felt alive, as if it had been waiting for him. With it he might find the answers he sought. Clutching the tome, Kale made a silent vow. He would uncover the truth about his powers, avenge his parents, and ensure no one else would suffer as he had. But the truth Kale sought was not what he expected. Hidden within the pages of the Ethereum was a clue, a map leading to a remote mountain. Driven by the hope of answers, Kale followed its path, braving treacherous terrain and relentless storms. At the mountain's peak, he discovered a hidden sanctuary carved into the rock. Inside, he was met with an unbelievable sight. His parents, alive and waiting for him. Mother? Father? Kale's voice broke, a mixture of disbelief and anger. How are you here? I thought you were dead." His mother stepped forward, her eyes filled with both sorrow and pride. "We never truly left, Kale. We had to let you believe we were gone so you could awaken your powers. The danger was too great, and you needed to grow stronger on your own. Kale's father placed a firm hand on his shoulder. It wasn't just the Raider's son. There's more you need to know. You're the rightful heir to the throne of Eldoria. Your uncle, who now sits on the throne, sought to kill you to secure his rule. We had to fake our deaths to protect you. Kale staggered back, his mind reeling. The throne? Why didn't you tell me? Because you needed to survive, to grow, to become strong enough to face him, his mother said softly. Your uncle is a powerful man with dark magic at his command. But now, with the power you've awakened, you're ready to take back what is yours. Kale's emotions warred within him, relief at seeing his parents alive, anger at their deception, and a newfound determination. If what you say is true, then I'll do whatever it takes. But we face this together now. His parents exchanged a look and nodded. Together, his father said, gripping Kale's shoulder firmly. And so, Kale's journey continued, no longer alone. With his parents by his side, the power of the Ethereum in his hands, and the truth of his lineage revealed, he prepared to face his uncle and reclaim his destiny as the rightful king of Eldoria.